social media time, or if you say that in this ongoing pandemic time, what kind of challenges do you guys face when you are planning a strategical campaign for a client who wants to sell their products or increase the selling or boosting the selling? I'm pretty sure you always get these kind of requests from the clients that we need a sales driven campaign. So make a plan about that. So what kind of strategies do you guys take when you design a campaign like this?
See, one thing we do firsthand is when we talk about, say, any brief, be it brand communication or a sales-driven campaign per se, we try to understand the objective part of it and how relevant it's with their current strategy, right? So if they're already selling through the digital platform, then we just have to amplify the whole thing, put our data strategy behind that. Okay, how much you are selling, what is the campaign we're suggesting, how much ROI we want to, target, and following that entire journey through performance marketing, seeing it every single day, whether it's working properly, whether we are actually achieving the targets and modifying it. For example, let's take Arun, for example. If they want to, go for a big push for their Taga maternity line, then what we do is we actually sit with them throughout the discussion. We see the past performance of how much they were selling prior to this particular campaign that we want to do, right? And we have data because big data is there. It's very obvious. You can track back. So the one thing that we follow when it comes to sales and ROI-driven campaigns, we call it OMTM, one metric that matters. So one metric we actually sit with the client and define that one metric, one very important metric, that what is that for the client. Once they share this is the metric we want to track, then we can look at the metric and in the past data. And once the campaign is rolled and it's finished, we can also match it with the future OMTM and match them together to see, okay, this is the metric that is relevant to the client. Can there be other metrics as well? Of course, there can be multiple metrics. It can be number of visitors in that particular time, number of orders being converted. All of it can come into play, but then again, it's always a mutual discussion. But the one thing that we always focus on before when we get a brief is that whether the client is clear about the brief or not, right? So because they can, it's a very if the brief is that we want to increase sales, it's very vague, right? Because it can do good, but it can also harm your business in terms of how your brand is positioned. Is it talking in the manner? Is it continuing the conversation of how the brand has been in the, say, offline, and is it coming back to online to create the relevance? So this
But
is
I want to just
takeaway.
add, in the meantime, I just want to add one thing, like what you were saying, like client gives brief and they explain what they want. But after that, when you are planning the campaign or even executing it, how much accessibility do you see a client wants? Like, do you do you see that the client wants his opinion to be incorporated from the very beginning, or in what part of the campaign, like in planning or the creative execution or the on ground execution, whatever you say, in which part the client wants the accessibility most?
I think in all parts they want access, and that's fine. And we are more than willing to give them the accessibility that they desire, because there is no hidden thing here, right? We are doing it together. So from the planning part, of course, it's our responsibility to make them understand why we are why our strategic line and communication strategy is particularly that what we are suggesting, and we welcome client feedback and incorporate that. When it's in the execution phase, of course, we contribute and that this is our previous experience, this is how the creative
Right.
should be, this is how it's gonna impact, and of course, when it's live and the conversion is happening, we do it together. If the media is also being done by us, then of course we have the full access. Client has the full access. If there are tri-party communication, for example, ADA is taking care of the media, then we merge with third parties and agencies together, and client has access to all the data.